Go!
Hi, everyone.
We're live. We made it.
Oh,
We're
it was
a minute late.
call.
No, we're 2 minutes late. We had technical difficulties. Sometimes it's
Surprise, surprise.
I know, right? Sometimes I think it might be better just to do like analog things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like literally, like right now we have a tripod that is like the same technology tripods have used since like Galileo.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
And like it works just fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here.
So, welcome back. We hope you're surviving spring 2019.
2019. It feels like surviving at this point.
It's only week 3.
It's only. I thought it was only week 2. It's only week 2, right?
No. We did a Marx Library Live. We skipped a week.
It's week 3.
It's week 3.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better about things. I thought it was only week 2, and I was like, oh my god.
No, it's not quite that bad.
Okay.
So who are we? Why are we even here? I mean, that is the
existential
question.
Why are we here?
I'm Stephanie Ard. I'm the social sciences librarian here at the Marx Library.
And I'm Beth Shepard. I am the arts and humanities librarian here at the Marx Library. And this is Marx Library Live.
So we do this once a week to answer library questions. And today we're going to talk to you about something that is fundamental to doing library research.
Yes, it is absolutely fundamental. And I think it's something like when we mention it, like students' eyes kind of like glaze over, like they're like,
What? That sounds
what? It sounds very
sciencey.
mathy.
But
it is
mathy. Yeah.
But it's something called, get excited,
Boolean operators.
Boolean, right? And if you've spent any time in a classroom with probably Stephanie or myself, you have heard us talking about these because they are essential. Understanding how Boolean operators work is really essential to understanding how library resources work and then ultimately locating anything
And if you've ever
effectively.
taken a logic course, you've probably run into them there too.
Which, I mean, I'll be honest, I never took a logic course.
Oh, I did. I loved it.
No. Until library school. And then I was like, oh. I mean, I feel like I knew what they did as an undergrad in my undergraduate, but I really didn't understand how they worked. And I think that's pretty important.
So we're going to talk to you today about how Boolean operators work.
And we brought graphics.
We brought graphics from the
wonderful people at Starbucks.
Yes, they have provided us with our visual aids.
All right, so let's talk about the 3 big Boolean operators, right? And not.
Right.
Is
And
the last
or
one.
not.
Right. And or not. And the big one all the time is and, right? And is most often 99.9% of the time is the default operator.
So when you do a search, if you put in more than one word, it's automatically going to and those words together.
Yeah, and like if you if you see like in one search there will be several boxes if you do the advanced search, and then there will be the little Boolean operator box, and the default is always and.
So what does and do?
So and takes 2 terms and looks for and only gives you results back with those 2 terms in them.
Right, so it's a limiter.
Yeah, which is kind of counterintuitive to how you think about and, right? So we often think like and is more, and is not more. Like Stephanie said, it's a limiter, so it gives you fewer results.
So if you're looking for 2 words, you're looking for cats and dogs. I don't know why you'd be looking for, but anyway.
Oh, you're an animal lover.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's only going to give you, or maybe a better example would be dogs and wolves.
There we go.
Right?
It's going to bring you back only things that use both dogs and wolves. If it doesn't have both of those, it's not going to come back.
Yes, right. So do we want to use our fun little, like,
Sure.
Okay.
Okay,
So for example.
Now doing this live is different. I've never been a barista.
I know, those are like, da, 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 da.
Okay, so let's say that you go to order your coffee and you want both milk
and your cinnamon dolce syrup, right?
Syrup.
You do not drink your coffee black. Okay?
You are not going to be happy if they just give you one that has only milk. And you are not going to be happy if they give you one that has only syrup.
Right. You need
Both.
Can't really see. Both.
And.
Right? So a good example of this is like when, or more like a better application of this. So often students will end up with a really large pool of results, right? And so librarians' first suggestion in kind of getting that under control or getting them more relevant, right? So rather cast this like large net, just a much more smaller thing, is to and an additional term, right? A relevant additional term. Like you don't and something totally random.
So you could, like, students do stuff like this all the time. They'll go in and they put, I don't know, racism.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
And you have approximately 6.2 trillion results.
Right. And they're everything from like racism in higher education to racism
in prisons.
Or, police brutality. I mean, like, all sorts of stuff. So if you're a student and you're interested in how race affects higher education, then we probably want to and the term higher education with race.
So now that's only going to bring back stuff that includes racism and higher education. If it doesn't include both, it's not going to show up. So it gets rid of all that other stuff you don't need.
Irrelevant stuff, right? Okay. And it's pretty smart.
Yes.
It's pretty simple, okay?
Or is an expander. So it lets you search for multiple things at one time.
Yeah, so it prevents you from having to like do multiple searches if you don't know what you're calling is the right word.
So
or
maybe
not.
you're not
That was
sure.
the most
Should you search for
confusing way to say
dog?
that.
Should you search for canine?
Right.
Should you search for wolf?
Should you search for Yeah. Or I was trying to think of a coffee example. So like Java or coffee. Right? Or what's it? Covfefe. No, like I'm trying to think of another what would be a good example of that. Like
maybe cappuccinos or lattes.
Right. They're
interested
similar. They're closely related terms.
And you might not know which one the article is going to use.
That's it. So a lot of the times, like librarians will say, use or when the two terms are synonymous, they mean the exact same. So same thing. So for example, like Java and coffee mean the same thing, right? Or really closely related.
Very closely related.
Like what Stephanie just mentioned. So latte, cappuccino.
And that's because if you're interested in researching one of those things, there's a good chance that searching for that other thing's going to get you stuff that's relevant to you.
Yeah. It just prevents you from having to do two separate searches to try to find everything about lattes and then everything about cappuccinos.
Yeah. So it's going to, like, increase the number of results that you're getting. Because it's going to bring back everything that mentions lattes, and it's going to bring back everything that mentions cappuccinos.
And I think that freaks students out sometimes because they're like, oh my god, this expanded my results, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. And it can be really good if you're not getting many results to begin with.
Yes.
So if you're not getting many results, try to think of some terms that are related to the one you're already searching for. And use or.
Yeah, and when we talk about related, we talked about this a little bit in the past. Stephanie and I are talking about both broader and potentially narrower terms too. So those
as
are
well
related.
As synonyms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So synonyms, broader and narrower.
Okay, so if we go back to our visual aids here, if you, let's just say you don't care what's in your coffee as long as it's not black.
Okay.
Then you have milk or syrup.
Right.
And you're going to be happy.
And you're going to be happy with results for both.
Yeah, that doesn't work great because it's not super closely
Super
related.
close.
We were limited to based on this.
Well, yeah, we were limited with what the squares. But
I guess depending on what you are researching.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then the last one
is not.
And not is super basic.
And not is another limiter. And it gets rid of stuff that you don't want.
Throws things out. So let's say you are not a fan of hazelnut and you want no syrup, then you're not going to be happy with this cup. Okay, so not is helpful, but I would say I always tell students to use not with caution.
Yes, because you could accidentally get rid of something you need.
And I think, in my opinion, it's a better option to design a stronger search with and or potentially than to have to rely on not to get your search in order.
The only time I think not is really useful is if there's a word that's maybe spelled the same.
Yes.
That keeps complicating the search. For instance, mobile is spelled the same way as mobile. Yeah, so I have found it's useful to put like not cellular.
Yes.
And gets rid of that stuff
Yes.
that has nothing to do with Mobile, Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. That's a really good example. Or like something like that keeps coming up over and over and over again in your results that
But
no
has nothing
search
to do
right.
with it, yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good example. So it's hard to really come up with
until you see it happening.
But what I would...
Well, you know, sometimes it happens with author names, like if you're looking for someone particular and they share a name with someone. So let's say you're looking for like a literary author, but this thing about like biology keeps coming up. Yeah.
Right. You cannot cellular biology or whatever, and it would get rid of that. I just feel like that is a really unique case for that. But it gets a little weird when you try to use it sometimes.
And it's very, very easy to get rid of stuff you need.
Yeah, to potentially like not, because remember what's happening in the databases is it's depending on what field you're searching, and most of the time your default field is a keyword. So you're searching just kind of all the metadata associated with an article, right?
So if that keyword is used anywhere
in it,
it'll get rid of it.
It'll get rid of it. So it's kind of a last resort, I think, right? Unless try to do a better search with maybe anding additional terms, narrowing it that way rather than like trying to narrow it with a not.
So if you do use not and it messes up your search or you're not getting any results,
throw it out.
Just get rid of it.
So should we talk at all about the order of Boolean operations, like how they're applied by the databases? Because I feel like that may mess students up sometimes.
Sure. You feel like we can do that without drawing parentheses on the board?
I know, it's really hard, but just try to remember this. And is the default, and it's also the primary operator. And I think that's the fundamental thing, right? So if you are trying to and terms, but you also want to or some terms, right? Just design the search to where and is the first operator in the search, if that makes any sense.
Applying logic is really useful. If you can think about like the way that they're like paired together. I don't know. See, that's why
that's hard to like.
It's hard to show without showing it.
But it's kind of like math. It is math. It's an order
math,
of operations, right? So remember, like, I don't remember the order of operations. I think multiplying happens before dividing or something like that. So
PEMDAS?
Or does it happen
parentheses, exponents?
Yes. Multiplication.
Wait.
No.
I'm doing something
Something's
else.
wrong. There's addition. But, okay, so multiplication happens before addition, right?
Yes.
Okay, we know that. So, like, make sure that your and happens before your or you're not.
Yeah, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Yeah.
Yes!
I'm not completely crazy.
Woo! Okay. It's been a hot minute. So, remember those terrible things they would give you and you had to, like, do it?
Yeah.
Those were awful. Okay, welcome back to 4th grade. So just remember that and happens before anything else. So, kind of, and also the really easy way to think about it is just like keep everything nice and tidy, right? So like if you're oring something, make sure it's sitting next to the thing that you're trying to or it with.
And that's where the advanced search is so useful. Use those multiple boxes. Don't like try to build a logic string inside one
unless
box.
you're really good at it, and chances are you're not, because we don't search like that anymore.
No.
Right? So do the nice little multiple boxes, and all the databases have the multiple boxes. So like let the little Boolean operator drop down.
So have one box for one idea, another box for another idea, and then it's easier to figure out
you
what
won't
you need
mess
to
up
and or and
the
and especially
operations.
not's got to have its own box.
And it's usually, I feel like dead last. It's the dead last thing you're gonna like do. Should be not if you're gonna use it.
Right.
Okay, so Boolean operators, they're not there for flair. They do something.
Yes.
They do lots of things.
They can help you make your searches so much more effective.
Yeah.
And save you a lot of time.
Save you so much time, right? So, look for them in your databases. You may have been like, oh, those were fun. What are those? They're usually like a little drop down or a select or whatever.
And you can usually type them into.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Different databases work differently.
Some of them won't let you do it.
So if I would encourage you, like LexisNexis won't let you do it. It's so stupid. You have to like click the button. You have to click the and button to have it add to your search. It's so dumb.
Because you can't spell and.
Or.
or.
But I say if you're gonna type them in yourself, do it in all caps just in case. So that the database knows it is.
But if you can click on it, it's better to click on it.
Click! Just click, right? It's 21st century. Click away. Okay, so those are Boolean operators. And maybe, because Stephanie has some really fun, they were Halloween related.
Oh yeah, the
but they were really cute and they made sense. So maybe we'll like post, maybe we can figure out a way to reshare those or something, like flashback to, I don't know, Take It Back Tuesday or whatever. So you can see an image, right? And it's an actual Venn diagram, things that we actually draw on the board.
Yeah, because this coughing thing did not work out as well as I anticipated.
We thought it worked really well in our head, and then it just didn't.
I think if there had been two like closer options,
like if we had like milk as an option, and you could select like
milk
skim or
whole,
whole,
or soy or whatever,
that would have worked. But obviously, Starbucks doesn't. You know what I've often thought though? Like, this may make sense for this generation. Like, you know how when you search in Instagram for a hashtag and you get a bunch of results back and you're like, man, it would be really cool if I could search for 2 hashtags at one time.
There you go.
Boolean. So you get back really relevant stuff as opposed to only like, I don't know.
The one hashtag.
The one hashtag. So there's that. Okay.
Oh, you can use Boolean operators in Google.
They stole it from us.
Just so you know. It'll change your Googling forever.
It will change your world. You'll be a much better Googler. And that's our goal, right? To make you smarter information consumers. Okay. So there's our 15 minutes of Boolean operators, which we nailed it right at 15 minutes.
We did.
We were 2 minutes late starting.
That's
so we were
right.
Perfect.
And I know you guys are absolutely... Oh, that's the word I'm looking for.
I thought...
I don't know.
I know the word I want to say, but I don't think it's the right word to say.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll be back next week, and we're going to talk to you next week about how to treat our very precious books.
Yeah, and this is something that is very near and dear to our hearts. So, and we're gonna show you what not to do, like with like visual aids. So this will be the one time that we like do things that we wouldn't normally do to a book.
You want to see a librarian destroy a book?
Come back next week.
Tune in next week.
Where we show you what not to do by doing it.
Do as we say.
Not as we do.
All right, so you are already following us on Instagram. Make your friends follow us. We're also on Facebook, and you can watch all the previous episodes of Mark's Library Live on YouTube.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in. And
okay.
If I don't think we have any questions, so...
No, I don't think we have any questions, but if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, let us know, right? It's getting to be the point in the semester where, I don't know.
Yeah, we've got a wide open semester, so...
You're like, oh yeah, I need to do things this semester. And so...
Let us know what your questions are. We'll answer them.
We'll answer them. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about anything we talked about today, mainly Boolean, just drop it in, like, shoot us a message, DM us about what is
so cool.
I'm so cool. Shoot us and maybe we'll answer it, but we'll answer for everybody else too, right? So
that's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay, get in the inbox. All right, guys.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
I'm gonna stop you while you're still ahead.
I don't even know why.
End.
Oh God, did they update it?
No, it's always in the top.
Oh, whatever.
Corner,
Bye, guys.
But it looks different. Bye.